Hi, I'm Jay, and I'm allergic to cats! The 2004 movie Catwoman is a tragic film. The thought of it is okay, to take Catwoman, a character who's always either a villain or anti-hero to someone else, and put her in her own movie, give her her own chance to be a protagonist. Unfortunately, the movie's bad.
But there was no obituary, because the day that I died was also the day I started to live. But that comes later.
The angel of death looming over it is Pitoff, an enigma of a face on an IMDb profile with way more visual effects credits than directorial ones. Pitoff emerged and cursed the hallowed ground that his cast and crew stood on, creating a movie with over-the-top cheese, aggressively horny visuals, and some of the weirdest shots I've ever seen composed. But Pitoff, who I assume has a first name, or a last name, cursed more than just the movie. He also cursed those tasked with making anything meant to tie into it. It's one thing to market a movie whose sole purpose is to convince people that they want to screw Halle Berry in leather, but quite another to figure out how to adapt that to something like, I don't know, a tie-in video game. So on this one, EA decided to lean into Pitoff's general horniness because, as we all know, the PlayStation 2 is the apex of human sexuality. In reflecting on this movie and the game that it and EA spawned like an illegitimate love child conceived in an alleyway, I'm reminded of what our mission is here aboard the longest licensed voyage. My goal is to find the good in the bad, the hidden gems within the shoestring $5 shelf at the used game stores of the world, to appreciate the efforts extended no matter what. That said, Catwoman on the PS2 might just be one of the biggest pieces of shit I have ever played. Welcome to the longest licensed voyage.
If there's one thing I hate about shopping after hours, it's competition.
So we start off about a third into the movie after Selena Patience Phillips, gets her cat powers and goes off to pull a fun jewelry heist like cats do. So it's time to set off on an this game has fixed camera angles, doesn't it? Yes, it does, Catwoman. Catwoman, like I suspect many games will play here aboard the LLV, comes from a time where fully 3D environments were still just new enough that not every dev saw the usefulness of mapping the camera to the right stick, or at least tossing on some kind of lock-on feature. Instead, I would like for you to watch this fight scene for a moment and take a guess at what the right stick is used for. Did you get it? Probably not, that didn't really have any clues, I just wanted to show what the fighting looks like. No, the right stick is used to control Catwoman's whip and all of her attacks. Tilt the stick towards an enemy or hold down a bumper and do it to make her do some cool kicks. And 75% of the time, the game will read the direction correctly. Catwoman moves like garbage and almost all her animations take too long. If I accidentally hit the whip button while I'm running, there's no canceling out early. So you fight some dudes in this jewelry store. The fixed camera does get used for some neat dramatic angles, do some big cat kicks on some big bad dudes just like a cat does, and then the cops show up. This one is a character named Tom Malone, played by Benjamin Pratt in the movie, has a hunky love interest whose job puts his relationship with Patience on the line. Because how can she love the man who's out to bring her in? Well, don't worry, because in the game, he just chases her around and then mashes lips with her at the end. The police decide, fuck it, it's property damage time, and Catwoman hightails it out of there. Then we see a recreation of her getting her powers from the movie. Let it be known that this version of Catwoman gets her powers by getting burped on by a cat while its friends watch. So really, this version can only be so much worse. At least in this one, the cat just looks like it's whispering Hail Hydra in her face. Now, we do have to talk about this cat, whose name is Midnight, and who is the rudest cat on Earth. After saving her,
I've got to rescue Midnight.
Midnight can show up and help Catwoman by granting her 9 lives. Very useful, but how does she show up? By being a rude, invasive, wild animal. You have to find Midnight in each level. In one, she's in an air vent in an apartment building, and no doubt her meowing is keeping up good, hardworking people while they are just trying to sleep. Then she's at a nightclub, getting her fur in all the drinks, which has got to be a health code violation. Might want to hold out on that glass of cream there, Oh, Nope, she's going for it. That's only the start of Midnight's crimes, though. See, where it gets really heinous is in the first-person mode you can use to spy objectives and stuff you can interact with. You can use this feature to figure out where to go next, and how does the game signify where to go? Why, with little paw prints, of course, fresh from the trail of Midnight, the cat who could not give a shat. Look at those things, they're... I think they're radiating farts. Is that what that is? Is that it? Ah, Midnight, I know cats don't like water, but take a bath. You're abhorrent, Midnight. Simply unforgivable. The next few levels, really the main meat of the game, consists occasionally of beating up bad guys and consistently of parkour. Climb walls, just like a cat. Swing from conspicuous poles, just like a cat. Get framed for murder, just like a cat. The traversal, when it works, is actually kind of fun, but at its worst, it gives you this level where you have to scale a quad of 20-story buildings, and it gives you a chance to fall all the way back down because some of the places that you're supposed to swing and land onto have all the footholds of a neighborhood of mountain goats. This level in particular took me nearly 2 hours. I actually have that amount of footage from one run because this thing is basically a jungle gym of parents' nightmares. Don't go up there, Timmy! That might have been touched by a cat with fart feet! Once you're done screwing around in alleyways for at least half the game, it turns out that Halle, some sort of makeup company that Catwoman's alter ego works for, is manufacturing makeup that causes horrible burns if you stop using it, and according to the villain, turns your skin into marble.
And if you keep using it, skin like living marble.
Of course, marble is the greatest enemy of the cat, and so Catwoman must stop this atrocity. Eventually, you make your way to the Halle mansion, presumably to tear down the halls of the bourgeoisie and set them aflame, so that the proletariat may bask in the fiery glow, for Catwoman is a hero of the people. Oh, no, she's just looking for the boss man to yell at him and his bad creams. Like a cat does. There's stuff here that makes no sense, like a generator housed in some roofless outdoor brick fortress that somehow makes a door open after you throw wrenches at it. No, really, that's a mechanic multiple times. You just find a toolbox and hurl fucking jackhammers and epoxy at whatever you need to break. There's one actually neat mechanic where you see a room from the perspective of a security camera, but it's underutilized and then followed by more climbing things over and over because somehow you keep missing the right platform even though it's right there, and Midnight joins you in some home invasion by walking across these poor people's home theater, and then there's Laurel who's like, my husband's banging the secretary at a weird musical, so you go to wherever that is and climb set decorations for 9 hours. Then the handsome love cop shows up and he's all, Catwoman, you're crimes, you're doing crimes. And you get a fantastic boss fight where you try to get him into these hazardous objects to do more damage, but you spend so much time forcefully nudging him that the poor fella dies before he even makes it. This environmental kill mechanic is actually in the whole game, and it is hilarious. Get a guy in the right range of a dumpster or a TV, or at one point just a pile of manure, and you can dispatch him into it. This is actually the only way to get rid of bad guys. Otherwise, you just spend 10 million years beating them up until they get scared, and once they do that, they actually just jump into these hazards themselves. Look at them go! I'm sorry, I really just can't get enough of this. I mean, I guess leaping into a trash compactor is better than admitting you got beaten up by Halle Berry? Is this the PS2 game equivalent of people being mad about Captain Marvel? So the sad thing about the environmental kills is that even though they're so funny, I think they've cured my depression, they also suck a whole lot because sometimes the game will need you to trigger a particular one to get you further into a stage, but it doesn't tell you which one. I was trying to get into this nightclub, but I had to do a particular kill that would knock a pole loose so I could swing from it. Because I didn't, I had to restart the level and spend even more of my life playing Catwoman. So anyway, after you fuck around at this show, it's back to the mansion where Laurel Hader is all, Catwoman, my husband is dead and I'm gonna frame it on you. You've got your paws all over this one. What's wrong? Cat got your tongue? And then you scale the company HQ for one final showdown that opens with the most hellish situation in the whole game. Hello? Please, God, hello? Stop shooting! I don't know where to go. I'm just looking for my cat. I've got to save Midnight!
I've got to rescue Midnight.
And then Midnight shows up with a bunch of cocaine because she's just super rude. And Catwoman's just like, ah, Midnight, you dang kitty, you did it again, you rascal. So then you get up there, fight Laurel, recoil at the MS Paint lines someone drew on her face, and then you push her off a building. Hunky McSteak Boy shows up and he's all, Catwoman, let me kiss your face. And so she does. Just like a cat would do. Catwoman is bad, but pretty funny. I would describe the movie as a really good, fun, bad movie. Something you can gather some friends around with some drinks and have a grand old time. And I think the game is kind of the same way. The combat's bad, but simple, and well worth it to see guys careening like liquid rag dolls into trash bins. Catwoman is a piece of shit, and I had a great time playing this piece of shit. I can't not mention, though, that the game erroneously ignores my favorite part of the movie, where... just look. Imagine that in PS2 graphics. Oh my god. No matter how much fun I've had with Catwoman, though, I cannot excuse the crimes of Midnight. I'm not even sure that Pitoff is responsible for the curse cast by this movie. I think it was Midnight the whole time. This cat is pulling all the strings with those smelly little paws, and I can prove it. Not yet, you weird gray chunk with legs, but one day, I'll get you on tax evasion if I have to, just like Al Capone. I want people to play this game and laugh, but not just because it's hilariously bad, but because when they see you, they will know you are rotting in jail like you deserve, in a little cell the size of a litter box with a toy mouse dangling outside the bars that you can never quite reach. I've been Jay and I'm getting a dog!
Patience Phillips died that night. But she was reborn as Catwoman.